Hi everyone, welcome back to yoga. My name is Ashley, and today we are working with the element earth, coming from the Chinese 5-element theory. There's the 5 elements, which are earth, fire, metal, water, and wood. So the earth element is the element that is the most stabilizing and the most harmonizing, and it's actually probably my favorite element because every single element can get balanced by coming back to earth. So before we get started, I'd like to read to you an excerpt from this book that I highly recommend if you're interested in 5-element theory, Between Heaven and Earth. And it says, "Earth, the soil that feeds us and the ground that locates us in the time and space that we are in, imparts stability. A tree is as sturdy as the soil in which it is rooted. A sapling that grows out of gravel or sand is easily uprooted, whereas one that wraps its roots around granite stands sturdy, almost impossible to dislodge. When earth is too porous, the structure that holds us securely in place erodes, whereas if too dense, we can become stuck in one spot, unable to move in any direction. Earth's destiny and mass sustain our momentum, keeping us aligned in the direction of our desired goal. Just as a gyroscope spinning in place keeps an aircraft flying steadily along a prescribed path, Earth generates the capacity for changing direction without losing balance. Earth represents our center of gravity, the point of reference around which all other aspects of character and structure orient themselves, the axis around which they revolve." The type of yoga practices that are generally recommended to balance the earth element are slow, gentle, nurturing, and close to the floor practices. So that is what we are going to be doing today. I hope you enjoy this practice. Let's go ahead and get started. Feel free to close your eyes or gaze at a point out in front of you and connect to your natural breath. Become aware of how you're feeling on an emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual level. Allow yourself to come fully into this present moment, just as you are, not hiding anything from yourself. Allowing all aspects of you to be seen, heard, felt, embraced, and understood. Before we step into our practice, I invite you to take a full breath in. And as you exhale, let it out with a sigh. Inhale again. Then exhale, let it out with a hum. Then inhale again. And exhale naturally. Feel free to visit any of those types of breathing throughout class. And gently open your eyes. Please begin on your belly, facing the front of your mat. And before we do anything, make a pillow with your hands, lift your knees, and then turn your inner thighs up so your toes point in, and then just rest your forehead on your hands for several slow, deep, even breaths. And just be aware that your mind will most likely wander and go into places that maybe you don't want them to go to. And the goal is to, instead of entertaining those places, those thoughts that are not desirable, to maybe lean into them a little bit to understand and observe or to focus on something different, such as your breath or some other sensation in your environment. And gently lift your head off of your hands. Take your fingertips outside your mat and point your elbows straight up toward the ceiling. Push your hips and your feet down as you move your rib cage back away from the floor. Then squeeze your shoulder blades toward each other as you start to point your elbows straight back. Then push yourself up as much as is optimal. Only go far enough so that your low back does not start to pinch. Then do or don't add in some movement like circles going in one direction, clockwise or counterclockwise. And then after you do this a few times, moving in the other direction a few more times. Dancing cobra. After you've evened it out, come back to center and then come up onto your forearms. So your elbows are just underneath your shoulders and your palms are straight out in front of your elbows. Push down through your hips and feet. Move your ribcage back, pull your elbows back, lift up your sternum, shoulders back, and lift your chin. Try to keep the base of your skull away from the back of your neck to keep your neck long and free. Sphinx pose. And slowly lower back down. And come up to all fours, hands and knees. Still staying close to the floor. Line up your knees under your hips or wrists under your shoulders. Begin to round your lower back, moving all the way up, vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way up to the top of your head, chin toward your chest. And on an inhale, starting from your lower back, lift your sitting bones up, curl into your lower, middle, and upper back. Lift your chin and broaden your sitting bones apart. For cat and cow pose, continue at your own pace with your own breath, allowing your breath and your body movements to link up, to yoke, to unite, which will also allow your mind and body and spirit to do the same. After a few rounds, feel free to move your hips and shoulders a little bit more organically, maybe swinging your hips side to side, lengthening from hips to armpits. Maybe adding in your head and your neck, doing circles, maybe crazy eights with your spine. Again, just doing whatever feels good and right in your body. If you see me jerk a little bit, it's because I'm fighting with a fly. And then next time you come up to cat pose, lower your spine into a neutral position. Then swing your right arm all the way open to the right. Reach your right arm under your left arm. Bring your right shoulder and your ear to the floor. The revolved child's pose. Staying low to the ground in your torso. Keep your hips high, pushing your left hip back. Right hip forward. And then maybe extend your left arm forward and to the right. You can put as much action in your arms as feels best for you today. Maybe pushing with your left hand, pulling with your right hand, or just holding where you're at without too much pressure or pulling in either direction. Slowly walk your left hand back. Untwist, reaching your right arm all the way open. Lowering your hand to the floor, switch sides, lift your left arm all the way up. Swing the left arm under your right arm, shoulder and ear to the floor. Maybe walk your right arm forward and to the left. Keep pressing your right hip back, lengthening from right hip to armpit. Maybe pushing your right arm forward and then pulling your left arm back, or just hold. Not too much pressure. And slowly walk your right hand back, push down to untwist, reach your left arm all the way open. And lower your hand to the floor. And then come all the way back down onto your belly. Take your right arm all the way to your right, palm flat, and move your shoulder back. And roll onto your outer right hip. Push down through your right side. Maybe scoot your hips a little more forward. And maybe pick up your left leg, bend your knee, and step your foot to the floor behind you for a belly down backward twist. You can also call this a pec stretch for the front of your chest. Even slightly stretch in your right bicep muscles and all the way down even to your forearm and wrist. Remember to keep that connection between yourself and the floor, not only with your body, but with your mind, just bringing your attention to it every now and then. And slowly untwist. Take right hand next to your chest, left arm to the left, palm flat. Move your shoulder back, roll onto your left hip, scoot your hips a little forward. Maybe pick up your right leg, bend your knee, and step your foot behind you. Feel free to close your eyes or gaze at a point that's steady out in front of you. Continue to take slow, deep, even breaths. It's been scientifically studied that just by laying down on the ground, people can actually feel more grounded naturally and more stable. It's often told to people with extreme anxiety, people who feel uprooted all the time, to try laying on their stomach or on their back on the ground, or to walk around barefoot. Slowly come on out. And come back to the center of your mat on your belly. Take your right forearm out in front of you so that it's not directly under your shoulder, but way out in front of your shoulder. And then take your left knee, bend it, and then reach back with your left hand to pull your left heel toward your hip. And then just let your head fall forward onto your right forearm for a quad stretch here. Feel free to do gentle swinging movements side to side, moving your hips or maybe using your heel, swinging side to side. Just be careful with your knee. Sometimes it's even nice to rock your head side to side along the forearm so you're massaging your forehead muscles. A lot of times we don't think about how the face has all these muscles in it, and they do get really tight and tense. So even just the gentlest massage on the face can be very relaxing and helpful to relax your muscles. And let go of your foot. Lift your head up, switch your arms so your left arm's out in front of you. Bend your left knee, reach back and grab your foot. Let your forehead fall forward onto your forearm as you pull your right heel towards your right hip. And again, maybe stay still or swing your hip a little bit, swing your foot side to side. Maybe just rock your head back and forth or be completely still. Maybe revisit one of those breathing exercises where you exhale with a sigh or a hum. The earth element is also related to singing, so making any kind of vocalizations is also going to help balance the element earth. And let go of your foot. Lift your head back up. Coming into our first downward dog, very brief for a transition. Come all the way up onto your hands and feet. Bring your thighs back. Feel free to keep your knees bent the whole way, the whole time. And make sure that you're gripping the floor with all 10 fingertips, pushing the inner edges of your hands down, and maybe stretching your heels all the way to the floor. Just take a few breaths here. Maybe shake your head no or yes. Bring your feet together so your ankles touch. Then slide your right knee forward for pigeon prep. Make sure your knee lines up a little bit wider than your right wrist. And then slide your left knee back, taking knee in line with your right heel. Then maybe stay upright, maybe go to forearms. Or if you can, come all the way down as far as possible. Maybe forehead or whole torso to the floor, or going in that direction. Really just go to a place where you feel like you can relax your best. Don't force anything. Don't force a depth. Just be where you are. And again, always feel free to swing your hips a little bit side to side. It doesn't have to be anything big, just enough to get things to feel a little more open, a little bit more malleable. And if you feel like you can go a little deeper, some people, it takes just maybe a few breaths and then they can lower down a little further. Always feel free to keep adjusting and keep falling deeper and deeper into a pose as we hold. And just place your head in a position that feels comfortable, nurturing, and refreshing for you. Slowly lift your head back up. And then slowly push your hands down into the floor to lift your torso. And then take your back knee, slide it in. And then slide your right knee next to your left knee and come into a downward dog or stay in all fours. Stretch the backs of your legs. And step your left knee forward, just like the left side. Slide your right knee back. And take your time going into it. Maybe coming down onto forearms or lowering as far down toward the floor as is optimal for you. And again, maybe just taking your time to ease in, breath by breath. And slowly and gently lift your head back up. And slowly and gently push your arms down to push your torso up. And come back to a downward dog. Moving at your own pace. Not rushing anything. Staying connected to the ground beneath you. Feeling the floor press up against your hands and feet as you push your hands and feet back into it. This next one, you have options. So your options are to come into a stag twist, and it'll look like this from your angle. You can come into it like so. Your other option will be to straighten your legs and to come down onto your hip. And so we'll start with your right leg coming forward. Take your right knee towards your left wrist, or take your right foot out to the left, leg bent or straight, you choose. And then slowly come all the way down into whichever one you chose to do. Taking the inner edge of the back foot to the floor. Again, maybe your knees are bent, maybe your legs are straight. Pick whichever one feels the most nurturing for you today. And then pull yourself forward so you're rolling more towards your outer hip. And then maybe come down to your forearms. Some of you might be able to come all the way down onto your belly. If you have props and you want to use props, you could use something like a bolster under your torso for more support. And again, just stay connected to your breath. The one thing from that reading that stands out to me the most is that the trees and plants and everything cannot grow strongly and be as stable unless they have a solid foundation, which is earth. All of the shrubbery and all of those things, the plants, the trees, those are considered the wood element. And we'll revisit that another time in another class. The wood element needs that stable earth to be able to be fruitful and to be as strong and happy as possible. Slowly come all the way up. Back into a down dog. You can also just do all fours. And then switch to your other side. Again, either your knee outside your right wrist, or take your foot out to the right, straight, and lower your hips. Again, both knees bent or both legs straight. And then pull yourself forward. And again, ease into it, whatever feels right for you and your body today. And allow your head to drop forward. And take slow, steady breaths. If you think about soil, soil needs many nutrients such as magnesium, it needs potassium, all these like electrolytes, and it needs vitamins and minerals and everything that the human body needs because we take from the earth to survive. And so if we don't have soil that is healthy and helpful for us, then our own bodies, our needs will not be met. And so we must treat ourselves like we would treat soil that we are trying to garden or tend to, so that we may also be fruitful, so that we can have strong foundation for ourselves as we move through life. Slowly come back up through down dog or all fours. So nurturing practices are of the utmost importance in our lives, especially if our lives are hectic, which most of us often have hectic lives if we are human. Slowly lower your knees to the floor. And bring your knees and your ankles together, tops of feet down, and slide your hips back to your heels. Take your arms alongside your legs, palms pointing up, and just drape yourself over your thighs, letting your head drop to the floor, shoulders drop down. Just hang out here for several breaths. And take your hands beside your ears. Next inhale, lift your chin. Slowly push yourself up and swing your legs out in front of you. Take a wide seated stance and then take your feet about as wide as the corners of your mat. And here you might get enough of a stretch. You might need to take your feet in a little narrower, and that's fine. And then just hang out here, either hands to shins, or maybe take hands back behind you. Then lift through your sternum just a little bit, move your shoulders back and lift your head. Nice openness through the chest muscles. And just take some slow, deep breaths here. And you can hang out here, or if you'd like, walk your hands slowly forward, taking your forearms down, maybe your chest down, and again, maybe using a prop underneath your torso, using whatever necessary to make your practice better for you. Maybe coming all the way down onto your abdomen here. For today, instead of forcing your toes to point up, we're going to do a yoga no-no. And just let your legs relax. More yin, gentle, allowing your muscles to do what they want. On an inhale, slowly lift your head and push yourself slowly back up to straight. Then take your one leg, just one, it doesn't matter which one, and pull your heel toward your hip. Just make sure you're sitting evenly on your sitting bones. And then turn over to your straight leg, and then walk your hands toward your ankle. Feel free to stay just like this or fold yourself all the way over your leg. You can always also bend the knee to fold forward so your ribs and thigh touch. Maybe grab your foot, shin, or ankle with one of your hands as you fold. Feel free to grab the other side of your foot with your other hand, or you can also just surround your leg with your hands. Just be present here in your posture. Having this whole other part of your body connecting with the ground beneath you. Just feeling the difference in sensation, but yet the similarity in the ground and groundedness. Slowly lift back up. And then use your hands to help guide your leg back to straight. And then use your hands to guide your other knee to bend, heel to hip. Just make sure your sitting bones are even. And then turn toward your leg. Again, knee bent or straight. Maybe just stay upright here. Or maybe come all the way down. Feeling free to bend your knee. Maybe drop your head, maybe grab your foot. You can just allow your legs to relax. You can use your hands to hold your leg in place if you like. And just allow the muscles of, especially your thigh muscles, to rest in this position. Just drawing your attention to any areas that you feel are still tense or tight. And just directing your breath, visualizing your breath going into those spaces. And with each breath, loosening the little fibers that hold your muscles tightly. Allowing them to expand and allow your muscles to melt the tension away. And slowly sit back up. Use your hands to flip your leg back to straight. And then use both of your hands to pull under your knees. And then bring your feet together so your knees are wide. And from here, take your hands behind you like we did on the last wide-legged pose. And then just lift and lower your hips so your sitting bones are even. Maybe walk your hands a little further back, lifting through your sternum, moving your shoulders back, maybe lifting your chin just a little bit. And feel free to stay here or walk your hands forward and fold. You can go a little bit or go all the way or somewhere in between. Maybe taking your heart to your feet, face to the floor, or somewhere toward that direction. Let your arms relax if your arms were out straight so that you're not really holding too much tension in those muscles. Just allow yourself to be present again just as you are, in whatever way you've shown up today. There's always a lot going on in our lives, and there's definitely always a lot going on in the world, and it's really easy to get sucked into it all, and sometimes we need to be sucked into it, and it's important just as much to take a little time for ourselves to recharge our batteries, to refocus our attention so that we can better show up in the world with those strong foundations, the strong soil, so that our roots stay strongly rooted, even when times are tough. And slowly come back up. Use your hands under your knees to pull your legs back in. Then lie down on your back. From here, take your feet about as wide as your mat, and then take your elbows out like cactus arms. And then just pick up your hips and then let them come a little tiny bit to the left and drop your knees over to your right for windshield wiper double dorje. Stay like this, or hook your right foot to the top of your left thigh and push your knee toward the wall that it faces rather than toward the floor. And then from here, grab your left wrist with your right hand and pull gently toward the opposite direction of your knee. Make sure you do push your knee back into your foot as much as you push your foot into your knee. And make the pushing as gentle as possible for today. And unhook your foot and your wrist. Come back up, hips to center, arms like cactus arms. Lift your hips, scoot them a tiny bit to your right, and let your knees fall to the left. Stay here or push your foot into your right knee, and push foot into leg, leg into foot. Maybe grab your right wrist, pull up in the opposite direction. Again, maybe revisiting a sigh or a hum, allowing stress to release through those vocalizations. And gently unhook your foot, unhook your wrist, come back up, hips to center. Then just let your legs fall side to side for regular windshield wipers, rolling across your hips, your glutes, Just feeling this gentle massage in those muscles. How we can use the ground to help our hips feel a little better. And once you're evened out, come back up to center. Make sure your hips are center by just lifting and lowering them. Cross your right ankle on top of your left knee. Widen your right knee to the right, and then gently pull your legs toward your chest. Interlace fingers either behind your thigh or shin, or grab your pants somewhere that's accessible for you. And gently rock side to side, especially focusing on the right side of your back. Doing the similar thing by helping massage yourself with the floor, only this time working with the low back muscle, quadratus lumborum. And let go of your shin or your thigh with your hands. Slide your right knee on top of your left knee and take your left foot to the floor so you can push down to lift your hips. Scoot your hips a little to your right so your legs fall to your left. Your legs don't have to come all the way to the floor. Sometimes just a tiny bit of a twist is good enough. You can grab onto your outer right thigh with your left hand and just take your right arm to the right and gaze to the right for a twist. Stay connected to your breath. Keep that mental, emotional connection with the floor. Your physical body is already there. Just allowing that to seep into all of the aspects of your being here in this moment. And slowly lift your legs back up. You can use your hand to help. And hips back to center, lower your foot. And switch sides, taking your left ankle to your right knee. Widen your left knee to the left, then draw your legs slowly toward your chest, interlacing your fingers around your right thigh or shin. And maybe doing gentle rocking motions side to side, especially focusing on the left side of your back. Let go of your shin and slide your left knee to your right knee. Take right foot to the floor. Scoot your hips a little to your left and let your legs drop to your right. Maybe grab onto your left thigh with your right hand and left arm out to the left. Maybe even gaze to your left. And gently untwist. Scoot your hips back to center, uncross your legs, and then pull your knees outside your rib cage, and then grab outside your feet with your hands for happy baby. Push your feet up into your hands as you pull your hands down into your feet and gently rock side to side. Feeling free to bend and straighten your knees one at a time or at the same time, or just keeping your legs bent. And pull your heels toward your sitting bones. Slide your hands up to the ankle creases of your feet. And just let your knees open as far as they'll go. Relax your legs as you hold your feet with your hands and allow gravity to do the work. Gravity is always pressing us toward the ground. So there's always this push-pull happening where we're rooting to rise all the time. Even when we're on our backs, there's still force that allows ourselves to expand our chest and our ribs upward and outward, even when gravity presses us down into the ground. It's equal and opposite forces that are always, always there. Pull your knees toward your chest. Wrap your arms around your legs, recline child's pose, and maybe gently rock side to side. And today for Shavasana, I am highly recommending downward facing Shavasana. To rest on your belly just like we went right at the beginning of class. To lie down, to make sure your flesh moves toward your toes. Turn your knees, toes in, and then just take your hands out in front of you like a pillow. You can take your forehead or one side of your face down. And just take several minutes here to really sink into the floor and the ground beneath you. Really allowing yourself to soak up the benefits of your practice just by being here, being still, and just allowing whatever comes up to come up in this moment. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Take your time moving into the rest of your day and have a wonderful rest of your day.